Peymon who?
Mata Heyday.
Peymon Heyday. Who is he?
Never paid taxes in 30 years. Fought the U.S. tax court and won.
See, I believe our rights come from God, not from government.
Hello, my friends. I am Peymon Mutahede, the president of Freedom Law School, which I created in 1996. In this presentation, I will show you how you can prevent IRS audits. Yes, there's a very simple way for any American to prevent IRS audits, okay, and not be subject to IRS's torture and harassment that every year put on many innocent Americans. First of all, let's go and talk about what an IRS audit technically is, okay? Well, there's also the media came out May 4th of 2024 that there will be a surge in audits according to the IRS, okay? Well, so how and what do you do about this problem? Well, let's discuss what that problem is, okay? Here is it says that when the IRS conducts an audit, individuals or heads of businesses must meet with an auditor who would then review that a federal tax return was filed correctly. The answer is right there. Audit is about what? That a federal tax return was filed correctly. Well, what's the easy way? How about if you don't file? That may be an answer, huh? Think about that for a minute. We're going to come back to that momentarily, okay? Now, IRS is also tells you about IRS audits. What are they, okay? Again, the IRS also tells you that an IRS audit is a review examination of an organization's or individual's accounts and financial information to ensure information is reported correctly according to the tax laws and to verify the purported amount of tax is correct. What is their reported amount of tax? Oh, their reported amount of tax is what you put on that 1040 form. They want to make sure that you filled out that 1040 form correctly, right? Well, what if there's nothing for you to file? Think about that. Now, the IRS just came out with a news release May 2nd, 2024, releasing their strategic operations plan, okay? And here's what they say in this thing, okay? They are going to audit, focus on wealthiest taxpayers, large corporations, and partnerships. That's right. Here they have 4 bullet points of what they're going to do. Go on audits of wealthiest taxpayers who file, large corporations and large complex partnerships who file, okay? They're going to triple the audit rates on large corporations who file, okay? They will increase audit rates by nearly tenfold on large complex partnerships who file, okay? The IRS will increase audit rates by more than 50% on wealthy individual taxpayers who file 1040 forms, okay? And IRS will continue to emphasize that they will not increase audit rates for small businesses and taxpayers making under $400,000, okay? For those people that file, because again, auditing is for people that file 1040 income tax forms. You see a connection here, folks? Again, they're talking about in the news out there, IRS audits are about to surge. Again, for those who file. This is a repeated thing. Now, the great news is IRS is falling apart, and they're leaving a very specific group of people alone, and I'm going to show you how you can be part of that group. Let's listen to, right now, a recent congressional hearing that the commissioner of the IRS, the head of the IRS, had before Congress. See what interesting exchange is? It's only about 4.5 minutes long. Okay, folks? Here's Congressman Doggett asking Commissioner of IRS some questions.
Were the people that you were after, were they the kind we hear about in some of these campaign speeches that, just had honest mistakes and left a little off their return, or were they true tax cheats, and can you give us some examples?
Yeah, I can't emphasize this enough, Congressman. Our focus, our priority, and our agenda under the Inflation Reduction Act is to increase scrutiny for complex filers, wealthy individuals, large corporations, and complex partnerships that are evading their tax responsibility. It is not our intent to increase scrutiny and invest this money on a new wave of audits for middle and low income. That's not going to happen under my watch.
So you notice the group that they don't mention ever is non-filers. Yes, they're leaving non-filers alone. That's the only group you'll not see them going after, even though according to the IRS's best numbers, the number of non-filers is right now around 80 million Americans who do not file 1040 income tax confession trap forms, even though they make money. Their company sends a W-2 to the IRS. Somebody that pays them sends a 1099 to the IRS. But guess what? 80 million Americans do not file, and they're not in prison. The bank account is not being levied. I wonder why. Here's some more.
And we will be able to publicly report that so that you can hold me accountable for that. With respect to high wealth, there's a lot of different things we're doing to start to catch up and close the gap that's been there for too many years. And one of the things that we can report immediate results on, because often these enforcement actions take time, but there are some things we're doing that should give the American people confidence that we are using this money smartly and in a way that's creating fairness, and that is going after millionaires and billionaires who are delinquent on owed taxes.
Delinquent taxes. Where does that come from? That's the taxes that you, under oath, tell the IRS you owe on your 1040 form. When you sign that 1040 form and you don't pay what you under oath, you tell the IRS you're delinquent, and they say they want to come after you, right? So if you don't file, you don't confess to owe the IRS anything, you're not delinquent, there's nothing for them to go after you, right?
And this should frustrate people. These are millionaires and billionaires who have been assessed a tax due and are delinquent in paying it. And we have so many honest Americans who pay their taxes on time, and these millionaires and billionaires are not. So we have created this high-risk list of 1,600 of these individuals.
What's interesting about that, folks, is that they're leaving millionaires and billionaires who've confessed to owe the IRS money on their 1040 tax forms. They're not paying the IRS. IRS can't even come after them. Wow. That's how bad of the shape IRS really is. IRS is not this monster powerful level. Get you. Be afraid that the corrupt major media for decades has brainwashed in your brain. Get those lies out of your head.
And if I understand, to stay on this path, you've indicated that you need about another $800 million this year.
Yes, and that is an important point about our budget. And I'll just, if I could just say it briefly, we have a base budget to fund our ongoing operations, keep the lights on, and then we have the Inflation Reduction Act, which is modernizing and helping us build capacities. Our base budget is insufficient to run the daily train schedules. And what that means is we have to borrow from the modernization fund just to keep the lights on. And if we keep doing that, we won't modernize. We'll keep the lights on, but we won't build these capacities that are so important to help taxpayers.
Wow, did you hear that? The IRS is so underfunded. The money that Congress gave them to fix their infrastructure, update their computer systems, they use that money just to keep the lights on, just to keep things going. That's how weak, dysfunctional IRS really is. Again, the opposite of what the corrupt major media has drummed in your head for decades, that IRS is powerful, that will get you. Okay? There is more.
When the IRS funding is cut, is it harder or is it easier for people to cheat on their taxes?
It's easier. And let me just, if I can go through $100 million, what that buys you at the IRS, 700 audits of high-income taxpayers, millionaires and billionaires, 200 audits of complex partnerships, 100 audits of large corporations, 32,000 collection cases of wealthy individuals, and on and on. And that's just from the 100 million. So clearly it has an impact.
Look at that, folks. They need the money to go after these very rich filers they've been leaving alone. Because all they could do is keep the lights on, barely file the tax confession forms people send to the IRS, the 1040 forms, barely answer phone calls. It's bad. It'll get worse. Watch.
Well, I start with the volume, right? When you look at the number of audit personnel we had the day the Inflation Reduction Act was passed versus the number of the highest wealth filers in the United States. And I'm not talking about just above 400,000. I'm talking about the millionaires, the corporations with $250 million in assets. We break it into cohorts. And for at the moment the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, we had one auditor for every 150 of the wealthiest taxpayers in the U.S. And these tax returns are long and complicated, thousands of pages, sometimes hundreds of thousands of pages. So I like people to picture that one IRS auditor or examiner backing in 150 truckloads of paper saying, I'll review all that, that's my job. So it's a real volume challenge. So we had to hire more personnel, to evaluate these returns, but also the complicated financial structures.
Did you hear that? Some of these corporate tax returns are thousands of pages, some even over 100,000 pages. Just the return, folks, over 100,000 pages. It won't even fit here for me to put it for you to see. Okay, and some IRS agent gotta be so well trained just to read and understand some of that and maybe challenge some of that. And of course these big corporations have a lot of lawyers who know the technicalities so much better than IRS agents. So they need to put their money in going after these super, super rich corporations, okay, that they've been leaving alone because they don't have enough employees per the IRS's commissioner.
If I could, though, I think it's so important, if you could allow me to just address some myths about IRS and guns. First, the vast majority of IRS employees are unarmed and will never be armed.
Did you hear that? The vast majority of IRS agents are not armed. So don't be afraid of this funding that they got this money to go and harass you with guns. That's just, again, a media legend myth, okay? Let's continue.
Most IRS employees are customer service reps. I like to say they're armed only with headsets, phone headsets, and most of our accountants all of our accountants armed only with calculators.
50% of them are home doing it instead of in their offices, but that's a different issue.
Do you hear that? They got some of the agents working out of their home. How hard do you think those IRS agents work in the office? Not very hard. How much less they work in their home? Even more. These guys are a bunch of communists. Nobody owns the IRS. They do a minimal amount of work and get paid the exact same amount no matter what. No one's watching them to do a good job or not. They're not doing work much, folks. The whole system is based upon your trust, your belief that there's a law requiring you to file income tax, because there's not, and that if you don't, you go to prison and have your bank account and paycheck seized by the big bad IRS. That's what the system is based upon. Let's go on now. I'm going to show you some facts from the annual report of the Taxpayer Advocate for year 2023, okay? So here's what they say about taxpayer service. Look at the highlighted part, okay? Phone service answering your calls has shown the greatest improvements with a general rise in the number of calls answered by an IRS employee and a quicker average speed of answer. But the shuffling of phone assister resources may have led to increased processing times in other service areas. In other words, when they answer phones, IRS is now doing other stuff. Auditing, collecting, harassing you any other way because they can barely keep up with some of the calls. Many calls are left unanswered still today, okay? Let's continue on this path of the report. Look at what it says about amended tax returns and taxpayer correspondence, the last paragraph. It says, the IRS's success in eliminating its backlog of Forms 1040 did not translate into eliminating its backlog of individual amended tax returns, Forms 1040X, business amended tax returns, or correspondence. That's letters back and forth, folks. Correspondence is you writing a letter or they write you a letter going back and forth, okay? They have a problem with this. Those backlogs remain at more than double the pre-pandemic levels. That's right. They have a huge amount of correspondence from people that didn't address the envelope. They just open it up and say, oh, we need more time. Here's a canned letter. We need 60 more days to get back with you. That's what they do. That's how bad the IRS situation really is, according to National Taxpayer Advocate. Okay? Let's continue now with the report further. Look at the highlighted part. The IRS cannot easily shuffle employees back and forth between answering phones and processing correspondence, answering people's letters. So unproductive employee time was the price it had to pay to improve telephone service. In fact, here they say going forward, the IRS needs to find a way to move employees between those two functions more nimbly. More nimbly, yeah. These are dinosaurs, folks. Dinosaurs don't move fast. You can't get a dinosaur to move faster. These guys are doing answering phone calls, now go process tax returns. Okay? Now go handle correspondence. Now go take phone calls. They don't do that, folks. Not at communist organizations. Government organizations are communist. The community owns them. Nobody, no one individual is responsible. Nobody. You saw that. IRS commissioner is a beggar. He just tells Congress, give me more money. He's not responsible. They feel bad for the beggar. It's not your fault, Commissioner. We just, you're head of the agency, but the whole communism IRS system doesn't work. We all know that, right? Let's continue. And here it is, according again to National Taxpayer Advocate, most serious problem IRS has is hiring, recruitment, and training, okay? Look at the highlighted part. Why this is a most serious problem. IRS staffing levels in the past decade have fallen to lows not seen since the 1970s. Insufficient staffing has caused the quality of taxpayer service to decline on telephone lines and at taxpayer assistance centers, and significant IRS processing delays to arise. Yep. You see, look at some key statistics, folks, okay? In FY, for year 2023, the IRS hired 30,742 employees, including internal hires, but 18% of the current IRS employees are eligible for retirement with estimates of 37% in next 5 years retiring. Whoa! Look at that, folks. That's a huge amount. That's basically in the next 5 years, over half of IRS input is going to be gone. Yeah, most experienced people are gone. The IRS, it cannot just replace these 30-year-old experienced people with newbies to do the same work. Okay? And also, the IRS's time to hire somebody averaged 134 days overall, but was over 193 days for external hires, someone from the outside the IRS, okay, when no direct hiring authority exists, okay, likely causing the IRS to lose qualified candidates. What does that mean? That means it takes the IRS over 6 months by the time someone applies to say, oh, you got the job. Over 6 months to hire me? Sorry, I have to pay the rent and mortgage and food, gas, all that expenses, so I got another job. Sorry, IRS. So if you're qualified, you are a qualified candidate, you're not going to wait for the IRS. You're just going to get another job. And that's why they don't end up getting good people. They get the rejects. They get that could not get another job within 6 months. And that's why IRS keeps ending up with a bunch of incompetent people. Add to that, the IRS's most woke organization. They want to meet all these woke agendas, so they strive to hire black females who identify as men and are disabled at the same time, so they meet 4 different woke hiring agenda qualifications, not competence. You just fill a seat so we can look good to the Biden communists that we are woke, pro-LGBT+, pro-minorities, pro the oppressed females, pro all the oppressed. We don't want to have any competent white, male, Asian. Oh no, they are the oppressors. They might be competent, but no, we don't want them. So that's why IRS never gets anywhere, and they get worse and worse and worse. They say SHITE that rises to the top, floats at the top, or goes at the bottom, right? So the bottom line is this, folks. Look at this chart, summarizes all the above. This is on step 3 of our 7 steps. Okay, IRS is a myth. IRS cannot even keep up with filers who have confessed to own the IRS money. Forced collections or levies are down by more than 90% since 2011. Not 20, not 50%, more than 90%. There's an utter F minus, folks. More than 9%. In 2011, it was about 3.7 million. Okay? Now it's going to drop down, 2021, down to 300,000. Yep, it gets worse and worse and worse. It is far more profitable for the IRS to go after filers than non-filers. Over $300 from a filer for every dollar spent by the IRS, but for same dollar for non-filers, it only gets the IRS under $3. If you were the IRS, which Americans would you go after, filers or non-filers? It's very obvious. Filers, because you confess under oath on your 1040 that you owe the IRS money. So if you want not to be audited, stop filing. Stop putting the rope around your neck with that 1040 income tax confession trap form. Okay, and guess what? IRS has really left non-filers alone. This chart shows ASFR is an automated substitute for return program. In the highlighted part, they say that ASFR program has a low return by the IRS. They only make over $2 from every dollar spent. Then they're leaving non-filers alone, okay? And check this out even further about the IRS, folks. they're leaving now even super rich non-filers alone. Here it is, folks. Another report says high income non-filers owing billions of dollars are not being worked by the Internal Revenue Service. Came out in May 29, 2020. And here, the IRS refuses to go after extremely rich non-filers. U.S. Treasury auditors gave the IRS a list of the 100 richest income tax non-filers who each would owe the IRS about $100 million and recommended to the IRS to go after these people for taxes. Well, the IRS is so broken, disorganized, lazy, and irresponsible that the IRS refused to commit to going after these extremely rich, high-income non-filers. That's right. Folks, all this stuff is documented. You can see the source document, the whole report right there, folks. It's there on our website. I'm not making this stuff up. So the best way for you to be left alone by the IRS, not be audited, is to quit filing. Quit filing the 1040 forms because there's no audits when you don't file. You see? Now let me show you this, folks. Something else you're going to find quite amazing about this is that really this is true. The corrupt major media for decades brainwashed you to file, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. Okay? And the law is where you need to start with, folks. You don't believe me? Step one to be free of the IRS is the law. Follow the law, and you're going to see at our website, freedomlawschool.org, that based on the official legal website of the U.S. government, no law requires 98% of Americans to file and pay income taxes. Yes, the proof is in a short and 9-minute video. Start right here. On the left is a chart here. You can look on here. You click on those. They'll give you some of the slides in here, folks. And there's more short and longer complete videos on the legality of the income tax issue that will help you understand everything that's going on out there, folks, okay? So start there, folks. If you have not done your homework there, do that first. Go and do step one, and the step two you gotta realize is that you really put the rope around your neck when you sign that 1040 income tax confession form and you're under oath and you put the rope around your neck. Yes, you got to stop doing that because that's how you put the noose around your neck and give the IRS the power to audit you, empty your bank account, steal your property, and put you in prison. Because again, you tell them, yes, you tell them you owe the money on that 1040 form. Stop telling the IRS you owe the money. You can stop withholding on your paycheck, folks. Yes, you can at our website at freedomlawschool.org for free. The stealing that your employer does called withholding from your paycheck, all that income tax withholding, you can stop it for free at freedomlawschool.org. Now I'm going to show you the proof how you put the rope around your neck. Here it is, folks. You see it on your screen. You sign a 1040 form under penalties of perjury, okay, which means throw me in prison if everything on this form is not true, correct, and complete. And when you do that, folks, on line 37, look at this. Line 37, you sign on there, this is the amount you owe. You tell the IRS on line 37 that you owe them money. They did not force you. Unless you sign that, you owe them no money. It is not automatic. No, you do not automatically owe the IRS any money. They have to make a case against you if you don't file. But when you're under oath, you tell the IRS you owe them money, you make it easy for them. So, take the 7 steps to free yourself of IRS deception, which leads to fear, robbery, and slavery. That's right. The first step is you not be deceived about the law, about believing that you're weak and they're strong. The job was that you are strong, the IRS is weak. So you gotta lose your fear by being knowledgeable. Now, You can stop the robbery, and you no longer have to be a slave. You don't have to be a slave of the IRS, folks. You are meant to live as free men and women, my brothers and sisters. The key is in your hands. As you drive around, listen to our videos at freedommoscow.org at lunch and dinner break. Now you can go see it and verify it, and you're gonna be free. So with that, I give you my love. I wish you all joy, happiness, prosperity, and freedom. Thank you for listening.